Hi everyone, this is Stepan. Round 9 of the candidates tournament is still underway, but the game between Wesley So, currently in last place on the scoreboard, and Alexander Grischuk finished early. I must say I'm a bit disappointed with Wesley's performance, as he had the white pieces against Fabiano yesterday and he barely drew, and in today's game he was playing with white again and he didn't play fighting chess, I must say. Him and Grischuk played a peaceful Berlin as if this wasn't the most important event they've played in the last 2 years. Wesley opened with pawn to e4, we have e5 by Grischuk, knight to f3, knight c6, bishop to b5, the Roy Lopez by Wesley So, or the Spanish game, and knight f6, the dreaded Berlin defense by Alexander Grischuk, immediately letting Wesley know that he'd be happy with the draw, and they don't go for the Berlin endgame but play an equally slow variation, which starts with castles by white, knight takes c4, rook to e1 attacking the knight, it retreats to d6, knight takes d5, bishop e7, bishop f1, knight takes c5, rook takes castles, and this is all still theory. d4, bishop f6 and rook e1. And all of these moves have been played thousands of times before in top level chess, and this is the starting position of this line in the Berlin defense. And from here on the games vary, and Grischuk goes for rook to e8, developing to the open file and offering an exchange, trying to draw a bit faster. Bishop to f4, rook takes, queen takes rook, and I couldn't figure out why Grischuk didn't take the d4 pawn in this position, as I never played the Berlin myself, so I figured there must be some theoretical trap here, but there isn't actually. Both his move and taking on d4 are almost equal, and they result in a roughly equal position too, so he could have played bishop takes d4, and it was one of the best moves. If he had taken, the variation would go like this, so bishop takes, knight would go to c3, that's the best move, knight e8, rook to d1, bishop f6, knight to d5 attacking the bishop, and d6, queen to b4. And apparently white has full compensation for the pawn in this position and even stands a bit better, but I don't see that, to be honest, and I would always rather have black here and hold on to the extra pawn. I mean, the position is so passive that trying to obtain your pawn back might take 20 moves, and I wouldn't want to enter an endgame in which black is able to create a passed d-pawn eventually. So after queen to e1, he doesn't take the pawn, which, okay, he must know the reason. Both moves are equal anyway. He goes for knight to e8, which is a thematic move in this line, and the point of which is that black is trying to play g6 and develop the knight to g7 later, so that it could enter either f5 or h5 or control them if it doesn't go there. And Wesley replies with c3, solidifying his position, and both players now continue strengthening their positions and making sure they don't lose, which is very useful to see, as the most common problem of all beginners and players under, I'd say, 2300 is that they fail to secure themselves from defeat before attacking. And on the other hand, I also think that in top level chess players risk far too less because they do the same thing to perfection. But anyway, play continues with pawn to d5, bishop to d3, g6, a bunch of boring drawing moves, and both sides just improve their positions without any attacking intentions really. Queen to e2, c6, knight to d2, developing the last piece. The knight goes to g7, which was the plan of knight e8. Rook e1, bishop f5, initiating an exchange. Bishop takes, knight to f3, centralizing the knight to the best square. And both sides develop to the best possible squares, and if you wonder, the position is completely equal since move 1, and no side has deviated from the mainline theory almost at any move, and try to risk something in the middle game by playing a double-edged attacking move, and all the moves were just very passive and making sure you don't make a mistake by both players. In this position, Grischuk goes knight to g7, he returns, bishop to e5, initiating an exchange of bishops by Wesley So, knight to e6, bishop takes, queen takes, knight to e5, centralizing the knight, and rook e8 in this position, and now Wesley So stands just a little bit better, and all he has to do is to move the queen from the e-file to prevent any tactics by black. g3, first making some room for the king, knight to g7, king to g2, rook e6, and queen d1 in this position, making sure that there is no tactics and that the knight can move freely. Queen e7, doubling up on the e-file, knight to d3, and the knight is defending the e1 square, so white isn't losing a piece. We have rook e1, queen e1, queen e1, knight e1, all the pieces get exchanged, and I don't think a chess position could be any more drawing than this. It's a completely symmetrical pawn structure with no possibility for any side to create a passed pawn, one knight for each, and both have perfectly safe kings, and I think this should be used as a screenshot of a textbook draw. Just a few more moves were played, knight f5, knight to d3, king f8, g4 forcing the knight away for a bit, knight d6, h4, h6, f3 by Wesley in this position, and this was actually an important move because if he didn't play that, Grischuk could have entered the e4 square with the knight and caused a little bit of problems to white, but not really, because if knight had gotten to e4, then f3, and the knight would only have the d2 square, which isn't really good, so it would probably retreat back anyway. King to e7 by Grischuk, king to f2, both sides get their kings closer to the center, g5, and in this position h takes g, and they agreed to a draw. And there really isn't too much to say about this one. Wesley is still in last place after round 9, unless Levon Aronian loses his game, which will leave him at 3 out of 9, and Wesley will be 7th with 3.5 points. And Alexander Grischuk just played a professional draw with the black pieces, and he's now at 5 out of 9, currently sharing 2nd place, I think. But his standings will depend on how Mamedyarov and Caruana do in today's round. And he has a chance to win with white on Thursday after break day. So this is an okay result for him, and he just played it like a professional, not wasting too much time, not risking to lose, and just finishing it up as early as possible. Okay everyone, thanks very much for watching. I hope you learned how to draw with the Berlin defense, and stay tuned for more games from the candidates, as I will be covering all of them. Cheers, bye.